Good morning and welcome. We are delighted that you have decided to join us today for our Sunday morning celebration service right here at Unity of Citrus County. We invite you to get settled in. Our service is about to begin in just a few moments. It is our sincere prayer that the music, the meditation, and the message will uplift you and inspire you to become the light of the world that you have come here to be. We invite you to come and visit us in person. We would love to meet you. And we invite you to also visit our website at www.unityofcitrus.org. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Z. Words of truth. So I forgot to tell you at the beginning that I spent 4 glorious days with a bunch of ministers. And it was wonderful. We kept calling each other, we are the tribe. One of the most beautiful things that happened there, Marcia was there as well, is how very freeing to be authentic, to just be yourself and nothing else. And so I'm going to practice that a whole lot. So it was really, really wonderful, and I'm really glad to be back with you. And it was just a very most uplifting time. So my message, they told me today, that's really long title. And it is, that's what came. So we're going to be moving into the waters of spiritual understanding this morning. And most of you know that the word water is a metaphor for consciousness. So the talk today is about that very thing, to talk about the power of understanding, because I've been doing this 12-power series with you, and to kind of discuss how can we move into these waters of spiritual understanding. And I, always find something for me in everything that comes to me. I tell you that I finished this sermon this morning. So Spirit woke me up really, really, really early and said, nope, erase, erase, erase. So here we are. And I'm comfortable with that. I am. Understanding is one of our 12 powers. Those powers that Charles Fillmore speaks of, that says that gives us the ability to move into our divine potential. And it's the power of understanding is that power that gives us the ability to know and perceive and apprehend and comprehend. I used to be a school teacher. And I remember that in my classrooms, I had to really find ways to deliver and give information to my students that were in ways that they would understand it, the ways that they could assimilate it. And Spirit is similar to that when the work comes to us. This power of understanding helps us to understand all these other powers and how they work together when they're ignited in us. See, when all those powers are working together, because they're supposed to work together, they're not isolated. I'm isolating them now just so that we can dive deeper. But they really are, they work together. And when they're working together and in balance, the things that we can do. And the places that we can, I think of Dr. Seuss, but anyway. And then when they are kind of out of balance, we're not using them as they were intended to be used, then we get a distorted expression of what our divine potential is. So really knowing these powers, really allow them to be used from a higher consciousness, is where we will be able to unfold our divine potential in greater proportions. So as you know, you can get understanding intellectually, from outside sources. You can read books and listen to lectures and take classes and watch a documentary. All those things will help you arrive at some sort of understanding. But the understanding I want to talk to you today is about spiritual understanding, and that's not gotten from any outside source. It's gotten from within. The inner source, with that which we call the spirit of truth, and only when you're ready and you're willing and you're able. When you're ready, when you're willing, and when you're able. So, are you familiar with that parable of the blind man and the elephant? You ever heard it before? I love this little parable, and it fits so well in here. So there was these group of blind men who had never obviously seen an elephant or experienced it, you know. So they were taken to where an elephant was, and they were asked to, they were placed in different parts so they could touch the elephant. And one of the ones, the blind man touched the trunk, and he said, "Whoa, this is like a thick snake." And someone else touched the ears, and he said, "Well, it feels like a fan." And another one touched the legs, and he said, "Oh, it's like a tree trunk. This thing is massive." And the one that touched the side of the body said, "Feels like a wall. Feels like a wall." And each of the blind men described the elephant differently based on their experience, their limited experience, no less. And we are so much like those blind men in so many ways. We understand our personal reality based on the experiences that we've had out here. And so we form some sort of understanding of what things are. But that is limited and subjective, because my experience will be different from your experience. And in just focusing on that alone, we fail to realize that there is a bigger experience. You've heard me say, we're like the little fly in this amazing, beautiful tapestry. We only see just a tiny little piece. We don't see the rest of it. Just like the blind men, they only experience just a little bit of the area that they were at. But there's such a much bigger reality, a big mystery. We call it the grand mystery of the universe. And that, my friends, is only revealed to you by the Spirit of truth. In the book of Job, it says, on chapter 32, it says, "There's a spirit in man." So he's confirming there's a spirit in us. And the breath of the Almighty gives them understanding. The Spirit of truth is the only source of true understanding. Everything else is a limited perception. Everything else. So spiritual understanding requires us or asks of us before we remember I said you got to be ready, willing, and able. Well, you have to be able to create within yourself or allow yourself to open yourself to this grand mystery to be revealed. You just have to open yourself to the acknowledging, really. You have to kind of get to the place where you say, you know what? I don't know everything. Can you say that with me? I don't know everything. That's the truth. And then you have to also take it a little bit further and say, I will hold my views lightly. Can you say with me? I will hold my views lightly. Because you see, like the blind man in the parable, we cannot see the full picture. The scripture says that now in part, I just see a little bit. But when the Spirit of truth comes, then I shall know fully, even as I am known fully. When the Spirit of truth comes, when you're ready, willing, and able to think that we know it all, that we know the truth. We could be in church forever. I was raised in a church. I don't know everything. So I'm open and receptive, to those moments when Spirit will reveal itself. My view is just very limited. It's just based on what I'm experiencing in my life. So, and you have your views, I have my views, and they're just part of the puzzle, just a little bit. So we don't want to hold on to those views so tightly because we want to be able to open so that when spiritual revelation is given to us, when we have that spiritual, we can grasp it. We can grasp it and allow it to cement itself in our consciousness and live it. Live from that new awareness that comes to us. I don't know about you, but it's getting harder and harder and harder for me to watch the news or even read it. I just can't. I try because I want to stay current, but something in me just makes me scream. All we read about is wars and mass shootings and corruption and droughts and famine and hunger and discrimination and injustice. I mean, I could pull a scroll and tell you all the things that we are hearing. And I know that the world is in a predicament. Can't you say that? It is. It's in a big predicament. And can we admit that we can't fix it? We can't. We cannot fix it. Not in the level of consciousness that we are in now. That's why it hasn't gone away. That's why. You could do all the marches you want, write all the letters you want, but until we rise up, until we get into those waters of spiritual understanding, we won't know what is ours to do that would help it. We just won't know. See, we have to transcend higher to a new way of being, a new way of seeing. That's our theme this year, remember? A new way of seeing things, not from here, but from here. Not from here, but from here. So we must go into, like I said, into the waters of understanding, and we have to say, okay, God, okay, I've tried everything. Show us the way. Show us the truth so that we may be able to get out of this predicament and birth something new. You know, what I shared with you at the very beginning, in the opening prayer, that was a spiritual awareness for me, a spiritual understanding. We want. And we're not being. I am the song. Boy, did that resonate with me. My life is the song. My body is the instrument. And I can cement that in my mind. I can let go of what I want and then allow what wants to manifest. All of Jesus' teachings were for the purpose of leading mankind into a higher consciousness where they can see themselves as you truly are. You're created in the image and likeness of God. So you can see that and know that and live from that understanding. And his teachings were also about understanding that you are one with God. There's no place you can go where God is not. He was a master teacher. He knew that he needed to meet the people right where they were at. But many teachers, we do that, you know. We figure, oh, Johnny over there, he's not getting it. I'm going to have to figure something else for him, you know. So Jesus knew that. He had to meet them where they were at. And he realized that all of them were focused on out here. What was going on out here? What do I need to do? What do I need? Everything was out there. And so Jesus, he needed to bring them into a new understanding, a new way of understanding, because they were holding on to all their beliefs and their views and how things needed to be done. So he had to teach them slowly and gently about a God that had unconditional love, that would never change, that it was unfailing and it was eternal. You have to teach them to love one another, truly love one another, including your enemies. Wow. Can you imagine? Those people were stoning people all over the place and chastising people all over the place. And if they weren't doing it, they were thinking it. And he's telling them, no, love one another, even including your enemies. That teaching is still for us today. He was teaching them to forgive. Practice forgiveness. Without that, you will not receive spiritual understanding. It's still one of the baggages that we're carrying. And he goes, forgive yourself. Forgive others. And all his lessons, they were like stepping stones, little stepping stones. He was getting them ready to to be able to receive spiritual understanding whose source is the Spirit within. And before his death, Jesus said to his disciples, I have so many things to say to you. I have so many things to say to you, but you can't bear them now. They weren't ready. But the Comforter, whom the Father will send in my name, shall teach you all things and bring all things to remembrance. They weren't ready. And sometimes we're not either. The Comforter that he spoke of was the Holy Spirit of truth that is in each and every one of us. And when you're ready and you're willing, understanding and will work together, then you will allow. Then you will be able to let the light shine on the way that you need to be and go. For me, some of the greatest revelations from Spirit came when I least expected it. Has that happened to you? When you least expect it, you're not seeking and you're not doing anything, and all of a sudden, boom, because you've been ready. You've been preparing the soil. So I remember a time, and this was in New York many, many, many years ago, and I may have told this story before, but it's worth telling again. I had gone to a prayer service, and the way they would do it then, they would sing, and then there would be a little message, and then the minister would say, okay, now let us go into prayer. And everybody would get off their seat, and they would kneel by their chairs, and they would pray. And I was glued to my chair. I could not move. Something was happening to me in that place. My heart was so full of gratitude. It was like so wide open. I felt something. And I didn't want to disturb it by getting up to kneel. So I just kind of stood there. And then all of a sudden, it felt like a mantle was placed over me. It felt like somebody had put, I don't know, like a shawl or something, a mantle in that place where I was. And it felt so good. It was this kind of like a love that was wrapped all around me. And it wasn't just wrapped all around me. It was kind of becoming part of me. And it was an overwhelming experience, an experience that I could never, ever, ever find the words to explain to you. It was an overflowing love like I had never, ever, ever felt before. And in an instant, I knew that love would be with me forever. That it has always been with me forever. Every once in a while, when I kind of start to get into my little places of sadness, I remember love is who I am. It became part of me. Love is what I have come here to be. And love is what I can feel no matter what, wherever I am. So, of course, when we were all done, the minister, calls us back. We're going to be ready to share, what came for us in our time of prayer. And I raised my hand right away. I couldn't wait to tell them what has happened. And I could not. All I could do was cry of joy and gratitude. And I realized that they're not ready. This was for me. This was for me. And when they're ready, they'll experience it too. You have to open your heart to receive. You see, we can get all this intellectual mind in our mind. We can say, okay, yeah, God is love. I got it. Yep, got it. Check off. Yep, God is the giver of all that is good. But unless it's revealed to you by the Spirit, you have no true understanding of the depth of that love and the power of that love. You have no way of living it. You just know it here. You can say all the affirmations that you want continuously. Oh, I am well and I'm wise and I'm happy. I could say that all day long. I'm well, I'm wise, and I'm happy. But until the Spirit of the truth reveals that within you, reveals to you that within you there's a spring of wisdom and of health and of joy, you won't know how to appropriate it. You will look for it out here. When it's where? In here. You can cry and you can beg. I used to do that a lot. Oh God, please, cry and beg, as many people still do, for a spiritual revelation, for a spiritual understanding. But that won't work either, because you have not learned how to appropriate what God has given to you freely. It's already there. You don't have to beseech it or ask for it. You don't have to cry. It's there. So I'll tell you, there will come a time in every life, if it hasn't come already, many, many times over, when the voice of Spirit will call to you to move into the waters of spiritual understanding, move into that consciousness, that Christ consciousness, and live from that place. And if you heed the call, you will begin to see. If you say, yes, yes, Lord, here I am. Yes, I'm ready and open and receptive. I admit I don't know everything, and I'm really waiting to see what you will show me. And if you get into that place, oh my God, the scripture says that you will begin to understand what no eye has seen and no ear has heard, and what no human mind can ever conceive. The things that God has prepared for those that love him. Amen. True. That is the truth. So how do we move into these waters of spiritual understanding? I pretty much already said two of them. Admit that you don't know everything and allow yourself to open up. Engage in a practice of meditation. Dedicate time in your day to just be still and move from here to here, from your reasoning mind to your heart, because the heart knows what the mind cannot possibly conceive. So spend time just breathing and moving here and listen. Breathe into that sacred space and then stay awake. That means aware, awake, and allowing for whatever it is that Spirit wants to reveal. It will come in the most interesting ways. Believe me, it will. And when you first consciously, okay, so you say, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to stay receptive and open and aware, and I want to do that. So when you first consciously open yourself to spiritual understanding, you're not going to get it all at once. You won't be able to bear it. You won't be able to. You may not be ready for all. See, we don't get it a lot because we have been believing ourselves to be cut off from God. We don't move in that space. I got to do I. So we're not there. So like the prodigal son, remember the prodigal son? He left everything that he had that was good and great in his father's house. He had it going pretty good, and he left. So like the prodigal son, we have to get to a point in our lives when we say, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to get up, and I'm going to go back to the Father's house. I'm going to go back to the truth that I know. I'm going to go back to the kingdom of heaven, where I have everything within me. When Jesus said that journey is not going to be easy. No. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Jesus taught that the journey to the Father's house will require us to cut off those branches of selfishness, which is all about me. We want this, we want that, we want the other, me. Cut this off so that you can love one another instead of hating or treating others with indifference. I broke down in tears the other day when I heard Trump going into a courthouse, I believe, and the people were yelling, "We hate you. We hate you. We hate you." I don't care who that person was. My spirit felt so sad. So sad. Cut the selfishness. Do no harm. Love one another. Don't treat each other with indifference just because they're different. On our journey back to the Father's house, there's a lot of forgiveness that we have to do. Oh my gosh. Forgive ourselves and forgive those that have injured us. You see, it's a heavy load that we are carrying. We've been carrying it for a really, really long time. And Jesus is saying it's time to let it go so that you can allow the Spirit of truth to move in and reveal things that no eyes have seen, no ears have heard. We must deny. We do that in Unity. We teach you the power, the spiritual tools of denials and affirmation. Deny doesn't mean that you're not having those feelings. Denying is that you're not going to give those feelings any power over you. So you deny envy and jealousy and anger and greed and all kinds of imperfections that want to have power over us. And affirm love, affirm peace, affirm the truth that you know. These things are much too heavy to carry with you. When I pack for a journey, Joe is witness. My suitcase is this big, even if I'm going for 3 days. His is like this. And it's heavy to carry that suitcase. After I pack, I always say, whoa, there's too much stuff. And I have to take it out. It seems, if you're going to go on a spiritual journey, you need to start unpacking some of the things that you know will not serve you any good to take to where you're going. After your journey, you're going to find, as you go along your journey, not after, but as you go along your journey to pack to your Father's house, you're going to be filled with lots of questions. And there will be doubt. No wonder now I forgot. Thomas, yes. No wonder Thomas was the one that was chosen to represent this power. He had questions all the time. He wasn't going to take it secondhand. When they told him that Jesus had risen, he wanted to go see for himself. He wanted to touch where the nails had been. And so sometimes and that's not bad. Charles Fillmore says it himself. Don't wait for someone to tell you, go to headquarters for yourself. And so along the journey, you're going to fill with questions and you're going to have doubt. But if you persist, if you try to pass through those doubts at some point, the fullness of God, in God's time, you will no longer feel like you are lost in some dark ignorance. You begin to feel like your life is lighter. You ever had that? Feel pretty good. I'm in a space of lightness. My life it's a new life. Like I've been born again. It's a new and diviner life in my body, and a new and diviner love for people in my heart, and a new and more diviner power. Power doesn't have to scream out. You walk in power. And you feel that. Because you're journeying a little bit deeper. You started to let go of some things. You decided not to stay in a place of doubt, but in a place of faith. And then the old things begin to pass away, and see everything will become like new. I am not the person that I was. Not at all. If you had known that person, you would not like them. I am not that. I am a child of God. And I'm on this journey still knowing that I don't know it all. But what happens when you get closer and closer, some things that we were so accustomed to just fade away. Like the desire to be recognized and admired. That doesn't mean anything. Just they're empty words. Instead, what happens is when people start to congratulate you or say nice praises about you, this is an inexpressible sense of humility that kind of bubbles up inside of you. This, with spiritual understanding, just comes a new way of seeing things, a new way of being. That spirit of truth abides in you and it abides in me forever and ever in consciousness, waiting for us to awaken to it, waiting for us to be ready and willing for its revelation. When you're in this place, you will no longer have a need to run to a teacher out there or a healer out there and rely on them to give you guidance. I'm not saying that that's not wrong to talk to others, but if I had a choice and I want to get some guidance, I would go within to the Spirit of Truth to show me, teach me, put the light on the path that I need to see. The Talmud says that for every blade of grass, there's an angel that whispers, grow, grow, grow. And within us is the Spirit of Truth that keeps whispering, be realized, be realized, be realized, know who you are. Grow in understanding, grow in realization, so that you may actualize the fullness of your potential. There's this beautiful passage in the book of Proverbs, also known as the book of wisdom, that speaks to this so very beautifully. So I'm going to read it to you. It says, happy are those who find wisdom and those who get understanding. For her income is better than silver, and the revenue better than gold. She's more precious than jewels, and nothing that you desire can compare with her. Nothing. Long life is at her right hand. In her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peaceful. She is like the tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast will be called happy. Seek understanding. Seek that with all your heart. Allow yourself to be willing, open, receptive. I know that there are some of you here today, you're going through some stuff. I'm going through some stuff. We're going through things together. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so it could be whatever it may be. Maybe it's your health, or maybe it's financial, or maybe it's, relational, or something with someone in your family, or whatever it may be. My best thing I could say to you is, don't lean on your own understanding. Don't lean in the intellect. Remember who you are. Remember that in God you move and breathe and you have your being, and the answer is there. Allow yourself to be in the place of peace, for all those other things will take us from that. When you're in a place of peace, you are receptive. Allow. Something is happening in that experience that is for your growth. Know the truth that you have always known. You're not seeing the bigger picture yet, but there is a bigger picture. There's something bigger that's happening than what our little experiences are happening. So hold on lightly to that until the Spirit of Truth can reveal to you more clearly. What is yours to do? Stop running around all over the place to find out, what should I do? What should I do? When you have the greatest source in the whole universe that will tell you that it has the only source of true understanding. I've come to a place where I just don't need to know everything. I've allowed myself there. I don't need to know how things will work. I don't need to know how it will turn out. I don't need to know any of that. Because I know that God knows. God knows. And all I need to do is to stay awake and aware and allowing of the Spirit of truth within me to show me what is my highest and greatest good. So quiet the mind. The heart knows what the mind can't possibly conceive. Walk your truth. Love will guide you. Love will show you. It will show all of us in this community. I love you and I bless you. Namaste.
God, you are every mountain. God, you are every ocean. God, you are every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every morning. God, you are every midnight. God, you are every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do,